Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Hustle and Hoops pod. We're back as a quartet. The quartet is back. The dynamic foursome is back together, and it's a little early morning for one of us. Welcome to the West Coast, Jack Mandel. Jack, how are you today?
How do? We're over here on Mountain Time in Arizona. It's a beautiful 8 o'clock in the morning over here. Just sipping on my coffee, waking up, and got a lot of basketball on my mind,
Yeah, the sacrifices we make to talk hoop. It's gotta happen. It's gotta happen. Dove, I see you got your new shirt on. Feeling good?
Absolutely. Feeling great. Now we're just waiting for the sauna.
JD, you're always ready. You're up this early. You're always ready.
I'm always ready.
Pump up the crowd. Pump up the crowd.
Yes, always pumping up the crowd. And we want to give a happy belated to Doug.
Yeah,
His birthday was yesterday. Everybody shouts out Doug.
Happy birthday, Doug.
Appreciate it.
Happy birthday, Doug. The best gift to Doug is talking hoops. That's the thing he loves to do the most. So without further ado, Doug got a little birthday gift from Shams Charania last night, breaking the news that the Dallas Mavericks are acquiring Christian Wood, former Piston great, in a trade for the 26th overall pick in this year's NBA draft. Boban Marjanovic, Sterling Brown, Trey Burke, and Marquise Chris, who also just underwent knee surgery and will be out indefinitely if anyone cared about that. So, Dove, what is this?
What is this? A new segment.
Andre,
so, a couple things that I've taken just from the first 12 hours of this happening. First of all, it is hilarious to see how many people have no clue that Christian Wood can't play defense. That is beautiful. I saw someone tweet, shouts out Nikias Duncan for bringing it onto my timeline. Someone was tweeting I don't really understand if that's the value for Wood, someone who's offensively gifted, on all three levels and this and that. I don't understand what the skill is missing. That's, the reason for his value being so low. And it's really? You don't? You're really not aware of the 6'11" small forward on the court? Christian Wood is good. Don't get me wrong. We wanted to keep him in Detroit. Fans wanted to keep him in Detroit for a reason. Like I said, he is a 3-level scorer. So bringing him into the Mavericks system as, I don't know if it's going to be a replacement necessarily, but at least just another Maxi Kleber type of player, fill the hole of, he can stretch the floor, he can do the pick and pop, but he can also do the pick and roll a little bit better than some of the other guys that the Mavs have had for Luka, especially when you look at, other players who had less of a willingness to get to the cup. Not going to call anyone out, but he's had bigs on his team who don't necessarily do that well. And Christian Wood is definitely above average on offense, especially in pick and roll, pick and pop situations. And putting him next to Luka is, you can't say that someone is going to be bad next to a guard like Luka. Anyone else?
I like it. I like the trade. I obviously think that the Rockets could have gotten more out of it, but the relationship wasn't there. They got Şengün, and now they're probably going to pick Paolo. So getting rid of the big for another first-round pick, I guess, works out in their favor. But as far as the Mavericks side of things, I don't think they're done yet. I think they have to make another trade at this point, because if they'd keep this same team plus Christian Wood, and then Christian Wood has to fill in for Dwight Powell, who will then come off the bench, who's a very good defender. I don't know. Like you said, he's not good at defense. So I think they need another good starter that can fill that void. And I don't know who it is, but be on the watch out. Cuban's not done.
or at least a specialist.
I like your point about that because I think it might have been Bleacher Report put out one of their dumb posts where it's like, this lineup's going to be looking scary. And it's, Luka,
Dwight
Jalen
Powell.
Brunson, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dwight Powell and Christian Wood. And it's like, are you on crack, Bleacher Report? Like, did you really just talk of a lineup that has Dwight Powell starting at center? Like
it's about to be a championship squad.
They are not done. Seawood's only 25, like 26, like 25, 26. And like, despite like all the issues he had off the court with Houston, like he still put up like 20 and 10 averages. And like his first like major role, like he had a big role with the Pistons, but he never like he was a sixth man. Like he didn't do that. And obviously,
let's not pretend like the team gave him any chance. Really,
he's not going to be the number one with Dallas, and I don't think he's going to be the number two either when all's said and done. Hopefully, for Dallas's sake. But if he can operate as a number three, putting up 15 and 10 as a true power forward, and hopefully his defense won't be that big of a liability, works out like his personality issues don't conflict like they did in Houston with coaching, it could be the start of a really good offseason for their lineup in Houston. I mean, in Dallas.
Yeah, I think it's beneficial more for the Mavericks because ultimately it's telling Luka, like, you are trying to build a team around him. Like, he is the guy, and that's just putting him in a better mindset. So gelling with the team, maybe making more trades, but ultimately this was a move that had to be made. I'm not sure, like, if there was any other deals in place that could have brought more players to Dallas. I don't know, but for now, I think the Mavericks are in a good spot because now they have leverage. Like, they can go to other teams now, and they have assets to give up. I mean, those assets they gave up to the Rockets were probably not worth what they got back, but we see fleeces happen all the time. So I don't know what the Rockets were doing. Like, I think that was a terrible trade.
I think this deal was definitely Houston shopping Christian Wood rather than Dallas making a call on Christian Wood's availability.
I kind of want to, and sorry, Shu, for cutting you off right now, but
I'll never forgive you for what you're doing right now.
I kind of want to disagree with you, Duve, on that. Like, I think, first of all, I kind of get what you're saying in the sense that, like, the return on Christian Wood wasn't as great as, you think it could have been for the Rockets. I slightly disagree with that just because I think, while he is 25, 26, while he is very, offensively gifted and is giving you the 20 and 10, there are holes in his game and questions in his game, along with the fact that he's a relatively expiring contract with, probably going to be asking for 20 plus mil after that runs out, which is tough. That's tough. And if I'm the Rockets and I'm rebuilding, I don't want to pay a 26 going into 27-year-old that much money when I'm about to draft a guy who, my GM clearly loves after having dinner with him 3 days in a row. I think the Rockets saw Paolo and said, listen, Christian, you gotta go. Last year in the draft, they did extremely well with all of their picks, not just Jalen Green, which we all know it was a good pick. And now they have another pick in the late first round that they've added to their resume for this offseason that will probably turn into another piece that they did, just like they did last year. You have to value the player not just as like their skill set or their statistics. You also kind of have to consider like the situation for it as well.
Yeah, and back to that,
that.
Go ahead.
No. I was just saying I agree. So
okay. And back to that point about Christian Wood wanting 20 plus million a year. Let's say they overpaid Jalen Brunson this offseason to keep him. Are they going to then overpay Christian Wood the next offseason to keep him? Just something to think about.
That's a good point. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes up because the draft being so close. So there's going to be a lot of moves from here till then. And ultimately, I think my only issue with the trade was the Rockets, I guess, not being patient enough. Maybe I'm wrong. Like that was maybe like their best deal. But I think with a little more time, they probably could have gotten some more out of it.
Yeah, because realistically, they're not playing Sterling Brown. They're not playing Marquise Chris. They're not playing Trey Burke. And Boban will
Those
get
are all
like
roster fillers.
Boban will get like
won't
3
get
minutes
minutes.
a game, maybe.
Yeah.
So they
it's literally
basically
for the
just
pick.
they just traded they just traded the 26th overall pick for Christian Wood. So
Am I
I kind
wrong
of
in
They
saying
knew
agree.
that-
that. They knew that.
Am I
But-
wrong in saying that they shopped him
Yeah,
around
of course they knew
at the
that.
trade deadline?
I wouldn't say they were aggressive in their talks. I think they
Right.
definitely
But
had
they-
hope that they could have worked out, like with him, like because he's a good player. Like they're not just going to trade a good player. Like they definitely had hopes that he would work out long term, and he didn't.
And like
But,
we were saying yesterday, to this point, here you go ahead, Doug.
Oh, I was gonna lead it into. Did you have something to say about?
No, I was also going to
Christian
lead it
Wood,
into what happens next. Where do we go from here with this type of trade value? Someone who's expiring next year, and they get a very late overall or first round pick. I mean,
And that's where we come into the question.
and that's where we come into the question. That's where Jeremy Grant comes into the question. So,
what in
Doug, take
the
it
hell
away.
is this? Jeremy Grant. I know we want that 7th pick. I know we want that 9th pick. There's a lot of different things that we could do with Jeremy Grant, but unfortunately, I think it's been proven that we're not getting a lottery pick from Jeremy Grant. We're not. We're just not. We're probably not even getting a pick. We're probably getting a pick and contract filler.
Wait, are you saying for just JG?
I'm saying I'm pretty sure that if Jeremy Grant isn't traded by draft night, or if Jeremy Grant is traded by draft night, it's going to be a straight up Jeremy Grant for a pick and contract filler.
Okay,
I
so
don't
you're saying if
think-
it's just Jeremy, he won't get a lottery pick?
I'm saying I don't think there's a package that we can give or that we want to give right now for a lottery pick. I don't
Okay.
think you're getting Jeremy Grant and Kelly Olynyk, or I don't think you're getting a lottery pick for Jeremy Grant with Kelly, Corey. Who else do you have to give up that you would give up? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not a lot that you can
Frank
really
Jackson.
do.
Yeah.
He's got a
Keep
team
Frank.
option. He's got a team
Oh
option.
shit!
Damn.
Damn.
All right. So originally, when this trade went down last night, I texted you guys. I said this is not good for Jeremy Grant. We chose Grant over Wood in a sense in that offseason 2 years ago. If this is the trade value for a guy like Wood, then it's not going to bode well for Jeremy Grant. However, after thinking about it a little bit more, I think the circumstances around the Christian Wood trade are completely different and not relevant to Jeremy Grant's trade value. I think obviously it has some effect, but Christian Wood was a disgruntled role player. That's what he was. He was a disgruntled role player who was not going to play on the Houston Rockets anymore. So Jeremy Grant, on the other hand, is a piece can compete on a playoff team instantly and gives you the things that win championships, which is the defense and the shooting. Christian Wood doesn't give you really either of those things. Not to say he's not a very good player, but he doesn't give you either of those things. Jeremy Grant's played 100 games in the past 2 seasons for Detroit. That is not something they had envisioned when they signed him to be the number 1 option. I think if he goes to a contender, he wants to go to, if he's getting traded, he wants to go to a contender, and contenders don't have early picks to give. So I think you're more likely to get like 2 late first round picks than 1 lottery pick. And what you do with those 2 late first round picks might be able to get you a lottery pick. I'm not so I don't think Jeremy Grant for a lottery pick is necessarily the best route for Detroit either. But he's gonna get more. I think it's irrelevant, and I think Jeremy Grant will undoubtedly be better than he was on Detroit, no matter where he goes next.
And I'm gonna just throw this out there before we finish this conversation. What if we extend him?
I hate you. Unless it's for $10 million a year, I'm straight.
All right.
I'm not paying him 20 million plus. Not even close to that. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Like,
That's
want-
fair.
I can't be, we can't be locked into money like that right now. We have to pay Cade, Sadiq, and Marvin and Stu and Killian and our next draft pick and our next draft pick. Like yeah. All right, Shu. What do we got next?
So, just real quick, can't believe Anthony Davis has said he did not touch a basketball for 3 months, even when injured. Atrocious. And there's guys saying,
terrible.
there's guys saying that they'd rather have Anthony Davis than Joker or MD. I'm not going to name names, but there are people
No
saying
free
that.
promo.
No free promo. Not giving them the light of day.
But
It was
please
Stephen
bring
A.
us on
Smith.
your show.
Moving on
We'd love to be on First Take.
to the real beef of the stew,
Free promo.
if you know what
Real-
I'm saying.
The real beef of the
Stew.
stew.
The NBA
Like
finals are
that.
still going on.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The last time we met, it was prior to game 4. It was prior to game 4, looking at my notes from last time.
Okay.
Because I wrote down the wrong notes for this time. It was prior to game 4, so there's been game 5. And so it's been game 4 and 5 since the last time we met.
Yes.
The Warriors won both. It was the Celtics were up 2-1 at home, chance to take the series by the horns, and the Warriors came out swinging. And now it's back to Boston. Let's
And
start
when you
with
mess with the bull,
yeah, you get the horns. So we know. Let's start with what the Warriors did right to win 2 games in a row, one on the away court. JD, we'll start with you. What's going on in Golden State that's making things go right after going down 2-1?
Well, to start, I mean, game 4, I think we can all agree on this. It was the Steph Curry show. He went into Boston, and even in the first quarter, he was unconscious. I mean, dude was just hitting crazy things, and it just felt like the entire night, the Warriors were in control, and they were getting the bounces, they were getting the second chances, and actually getting rebounds on the glass, like we said. And that was really important. And one of their keys to victory was actually getting boards. And Draymond stepped it up a little bit. I know it's not like in the stat sheet, but he was putting in the work. Jay Poole, Wiggins has honestly stepped up his entire game this
Career high in
finals.
rebounds in game 4, 16 rebounds.
Yes, he had the great rebounds. And then when he's guarding Jason Tatum, he's been clamping Tatum the entire series.
Is it time to give him something? Is it time to give Wiggins?
I don't want to say it yet. I don't
No?
want to say it yet.
what?
Yeah.
I have to give the flowers to Curry right now.
Okay.
I mean, he's just shouldering the weight. And then you got everybody clowning Jordan Poole. I mean, it's amazing. Jordan Poole loves it. He's playing great. So yeah, I think it's just all around like the Warriors getting back to their own system and their style of play. And Boston was not ready for that at all.
Yeah. Spot on.
We're just on game 4
Um,
right now, right?
Yeah.
Game 4 and
Game
5. Like
Game
we
4
can talk about both.
was obviously the Curry show, but it was also the Andrew Wiggins rebound game. Mans put up 16 rebounds and Looney off the bench put up 11. And that was huge for them. Every time this series that the Warriors get an offensive rebound, it's been a total momentum changer. Like the Celtics can play the best defense in the world, hold the best shooter of all time to miss, and then the Warriors get an offensive rebound and it's right back to it. So that's something that I've been noticing a lot this series. Yeah, Doug, what you got for game 4?
Let's see. Game 4,
It's a long time ago.
it's I think you guys covered it well. I think game 4 doesn't need much more analysis. Like you
Real
said,
quick.
Steph Curry, God. You were gonna get one of those games from him in this series. You might get another one. Who knows? It's not what we expect because it's ridiculous and whatever. Great game. I was gonna say meteoric or whatever the word
Real quick
is.
on game 4, though.
Mediocre.
Something that was huge about game 4 was in the fourth quarter when Steve Kerr decided to take Draymond out of the game for that little stretch.
I disagreed with that.
Play him as a specialist was beautiful.
Oh, well,
I
yeah.
mean,
He ended up putting him back in. But
he ended
they
up
pulled
coming
Draymond
back
for
For the
in,
defensive
but
possession. Yeah, and then they
that-
took him back out.
Flipping them.
yeah, he was coming in and out and in and out. He was in for defense, out for offense, but they were losing by like 6 to 8 when he came out of that game. And by the time he came back in, it was tied. And that was with under 6 minutes left in the game. So, I mean, it was big. Steve Kerr's got some balls on him because not many coaches would take out Draymond Green, even with how he was playing. So what do you guys think about that? I know Shub disagrees. So let's hear about it first.
I just don't think Draymond was having as bad of a game. I thought he was showing up. Like I thought like Draymond's one of those guys, even when the stat sheet, like when the stats aren't filling up, he is always active. He's always there. He's always trying. Worst case scenario, you're going to get someone who's trying.
Looney was big for them.
Looney had a good game that game.
That's the thing is Looney
his rebounds, his offensive
playing
rebounds
better, and Draymond was just doing that little bit too much extra stuff that he does sometimes. Where
like
it's
Draymond had 9 boards and 8 assists, 4
of
steals in that game. Like only 2 turnovers.
A lot of that was
and he
near
wasn't
the
in foul
end.
trouble.
But he was
a lot
1
of
for
that was
7
near
and he
the
was taking a lot of really bad
What's the issue with
uncalled
that?
for shots.
Don't you want it at the end? It's not like it
Yes,
was garbage
absolutely.
time.
No one's arguing that putting him back in at that time was the perfect time. But the issue was near the end of the third, going into the fourth, and throughout most of the fourth, Draymond was a liability both on offense and defense because you can just leave Draymond and play 4-on-4, and now the spacing is ridiculous. And they were doing the same sometimes with Steph, where they just take him out the play on offense and just deny him the ball. But when you're with Draymond, you literally can just leave him and just add an extra defender. It's a whole different
it's
scheme.
Like obviously when you get inside a minute, you can start doing the specialist shit. You can say, all right, there's going to be a lot of whistles. We can make the switches. But I think Draymond is too valuable with his like ability to run their offense and his defensive hustle and heart that it's not worth taking him out with 7 minutes left, in my opinion. If you really want to spark, I get it. But it's not like he benched him for the rest of the game as a punishment for not playing well. He came back in.
It's that much of an argument. They won the game.
But I mean,
I see where Shub's coming from, but I also want to point
they
out
won the game because of him.
it may have been a confidence thing because he was passing up wide open layups. And I know we've seen that before, but these guys were like 1 foot, like point blank layups, and Draymond was just passing them up. So it might have been a confidence thing, like you said, but also we have to give the flowers to Looney because he deserved those minutes. I mean, he was the one putting in that work when Draymond wasn't getting the stats. So I think it's fair to say that Looney deserved them. And when you're 1 for 7, putting up 2 points in crunch time, I know that's not technically crunch time, but the last 7 minutes of the game are so crucial. Like you need output, and it's not to say Draymond isn't going to give you that. It's just you can't have a guy on the floor final 7 minutes passing up layups.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just unacceptable.
Obviously, Draymond is not a scorer, but he went 1 for 7, and those shots he missed were point blank floaters, wide open shots, and at that point, if he's shooting the ball and it's not going in your direction, like he's not making the shots, he's missing big shots, and that's helping the Celtics. At that point, I think you take him out, but that's all I've got for that
To a certain degree, I'm
discussion.
starting to agree with you, Shub. in my head, but
Like
I just don't think it. I don't think it's that
I
important.
understand the decision. I've said I respect Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr going to do that move. It takes a lot of balls. A lot of coaches won't do that. And I respect him putting him back in, like putting his pride aside when they said, all right, Draymond, we need you again. And Draymond putting his pride aside and saying, all right, coach, I got you, when his number was called again. And that's one of the things that works so well for the Warriors. But I got a couple more thoughts on game 4 at least. And it's really,
And then I want to get started on game 5.
Well, okay. Well, this kind of goes into game 5.
Okay, that's fine.
And that's 2 words. Jason Tatum needs to show up. He needs to show up. Like he's put up decent point games. Like it's not like he hasn't had any duds per se, but he has not had any games where Mark Jackson gives him a mama, there goes that man.
Facts.
And you need a mama, there goes that man from your superstar. You need it. You need it. He's the guy who's supposed to be carrying 0 30-point games from anyone on the Celtics in the finals. You know they're capable of it. Obviously Wiggins defense, Draymond defense, Clay defense, but they're supposed to be matchup proof. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown, I give him more of an excuse because he's supposed to be the number 2. Jason Tatum's supposed to cut the slack away from him. But when is Jason Tatum going to show up?
Yeah. I mean, he's going to score 20 points because he takes so many shots. Like so many shots. He's been fine from 3, but these mid-rangers, he's been so off.
Anything inside the paint.
Yeah. And it's
really inside the free throw line.
It's killing them. And he takes, like, obviously the man needs to take his shots, but he takes a lot of bad shots. I don't know if, like, he'll make a bunch of shots that don't look good too. It's like, oh, he should not have shot that, and then it goes in. But at a certain point, like in game 1, when he realized he did not have his shot going, he ended up with 10 plus assists and they won the game, and he was huge passing the ball. So I think he needs to realize that. And I don't know, tonight for game 6, he needs to score and he needs to do it efficiently. It's simple as that.
So I think the issue that we've seen, the reason we've seen him be able to drop at least, 27 or whatever, like you said, I'm glad you brought that up. Like the 3-pointers have been good, have been very good. I mean, he shot 56% last night on 9 attempts. But he can't do anything inside at all. He can't finish. He can't get past his defenders. If he does, he's immediately being doubled on the drive. So then he picks up the ball and either makes a bad decision or makes a bad shot. It's one of the two, or takes a bad shot. You look at the statistics, like 18 turnovers in game 5 for the Celtics. You're not winning that game.
Yep.
13 of them being just from Tatum, Brown, and Smart.
That's unacceptable.
That's insane.
Yeah.
2 from Grant Williams. Grant Williams does not need to be getting any turnovers at all.
Pritchard is also awful.
Payton Pritchard was also terrible. 10
Per
bench
usual.
points. 10 bench points for the Celtics. That's insane.
No, that's not accurate because 6 of them came from Luke Cornett and Aaron Nesmith.
Okay, so even less.
That's what I was going to say. When we talked about the series pre-series, hang on, Dove. This goes hand in hand.
You're good.
We said the Warriors bench is going to dictate how the Celtics respond. And that's what's happened the past couple of games. Kerr has kind of figured out those rotations, bringing Looney off the bench to not match him up with Rob Williams. Otto Porter starting, which is another thing we saw. Like we said, if he's healthy, look for him to get minutes. Gary Payton sat out game 1, has played every game since, giving them very good minutes.
Great game
defensively.
Very good
the other
minutes.
night.
Attacking the hoop. He's invaluable to that team. And then Jordan Poole is finally back to going 50% for 10 points, which is, a lot better than anyone on the Celtics. And this is causing the Celtics to put up 4 bench points, to not trust their bench. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown played the entire second half until the last 30 seconds.
And that's where a lot of Tatum's points come from. And that's what I was getting to. And I'm sure what you're getting to as well is, for whatever reason, we know why, the Warriors are a team that open strong and close strong. First quarter, fourth quarter, those are almost always their best
quarter
quarters in every
Warriors.
single game.
It's the third quarter
quarter
Warriors.
No. In the
And
finals.
fourth.
Sorry, in the finals.
They have every quarter.
In these
guys.
finals.
Guys,
In
they have
these
every-
finals,
let's be
we
real.
haven't been able.
They have every quarter.
Okay. Game 5, though, the second and third, like you were just alluding to, was almost all Celtics, basically. I mean, you had that 8 straight 3 run. You had what was it? I have it written down somewhere here. The 14 missed threes in a row from Golden State. Like, you have these moments in the middle of the games where Jason Tatum is giving Jordan Poole buckets. But then Andrew Wiggins comes back out. And Duve, I don't know why you didn't want to give this man his flowers. Because if anyone this series outside of Steph Curry deserves flowers, it is Andrew Wiggins. He has been the most consistent player on the court, flat out, on both sides of the floor.
On both
If you
teams.
want to say Steph, I'm not going to argue with you. But I think game to game,
Hashtag Wiggins for MVP.
no, Steph is still the Finals MVP. But game to game, Wiggins was the best player overall on the court each game,
Especially in game 5.
especially in game.
I would agree.
5.
And the only reason I said I'm a hold off on it because I want to see tonight how he does in Boston
Can
again.
he do 3 in a row? Can he? You don't like. I don't know if he's ever had.
I want to
That's
say
fair.
a couple things here. We mentioned, or Shub mentioned, I'm sorry, that no Celtic has dropped over 30 points in this entire finals. And in the games that they've won, it's not all about Tatum, Brown, Smart, Horford. It's about like the supporting cast as well. And they really made the Warriors uncomfortable in that aspect and just kept the gas pedal going. So I think to say this is all on Tatum and Brown just isn't fair. And I know we haven't been saying that, but it's not all on them because they need their supporting cast. But I really want to call out Horford because we were giving him so much gas.
Yep.
And just saying like, oh, finals MVP, like he's amazing.
Hall of Famer.
Literally just falling off a cliff. Like I just don't know what is going on. No, you can't say.
I wouldn't say
no.
his
He went
impact has
33
fallen off
minutes,
a cliff.
9 and 9.
I have
Like,
something to
it's
say
not
about Al Horford.
That's not
Yeah.
enough.
Go ahead, shoot.
If you're,
Hold
I
on.
want to let you finish your thought, JD. Though, if you're, unless
Oh,
you're done.
I was just gonna say you need more, and you can't just rely on Tatum, Brown, Smart.
All right. So we talked, like I mentioned earlier about the how Golden State has started to dictate the rotation game. Their bench has been showing up and Boston's hasn't. And that's made Ime Udoka have to adjust and, in my opinion, panic. He pulled Al Horford, similar to how Draymond Green was pulled. Ime Udoka pulled Al Horford and Rob Williams late in the game in favor of Grant Williams and Derek White,
hated that.
who
I hated
both
that.
were having awful games. And that is the difference between a guy like Steve Kerr and a guy like Ime Udoka, the experience, the expertise. Why the hell was I understand what you're saying about Al Horford not having the impact he's had since game 1. But at the same time, Al Horford had 9 points and 9 rebounds. That's more than Grant Williams and Derek Whitehead combined. So
that's not. You can't say that. You expect way more out of Horford. Hold up.
But do you though? Like,
Do
you know what he
you
averaged
really?
this season? He averaged 10
Do you
and
really
8.
do you really expect
like,
that
he-
much out of Horford?
He's
out of Al
averaging-
Horford?
doing this.
He's averaged 12 and 9 on the playoffs. Like, I love Al.
Wait.
Al's had really big games.
We're talking about the playoff run, not his
Right, but
season stats.
you're not expecting
He's averaging
Al
12
Horford
and
to
9 on
come
the
out here.
playoffs.
No, hold on. You're not expecting Al Horford to come out here and give you 6 threes a game in each game in the finals,
not
but you're
asking
also
that.
not expecting him to be able to give you the 30 minutes of full defensive impact the entire game after a long regular season and a long playoff run. That's all I'm saying. I think his age is showing. That's it. I think he's still doing what he can do, but his impact is not nearly as felt.
I think this is partly on Udoka is what I'm saying, though, is because not only does he show he doesn't have confidence in Al to close the game, or that lineup that includes Al to close the game, which is Al's obviously a better player than Grant Williams or Derek White. And he obviously can hang with the Warriors guys. It also shows it goes hand in hand with the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown argument of Al Horford gets mismatches all day. And that's on coaching to make sure the players know to expose those mismatches. Al Horford knows he should be able to score over Gary Payton in the post. And he has in this series. He has scored on Otto Porter in the post. It's only an issue when he's got Kevon Looney on him or Draymond Green, who's one of the best defenders of all time. The fact that coaching has not said, Tatum, run a pick and roll with Al Horford, get your guy on Al, let Al post up, get a layup. Why hasn't that happened? We've seen it. I think it was game 2. We saw, or maybe game 3, we saw a little bit of the Al mismatches. He put up like four buckets in like 10 minutes on mismatches alone and haven't seen any since. And I don't think that's entirely on Al. I don't think Al isn't looking for the opportunities. I think the ball just isn't coming to him because Tatum and Brown feel it's on their shoulders to win the game. And they're not doing that.
So let's talk about that. Like I said the other day, I don't think I phrased it so well, but I don't know how else to phrase it. I know what I'm seeing. Like, I'm not saying I don't understand what's going on, but when you watch the Celtics offense, is it just me that doesn't get how they're actually scoring? Like,
Yes.
on a consistent basis.
I mean, they
shoot the 3 ball pretty well. That's about it.
But outside of that, what do they do to create for themselves and others? Like,
before we get off of Al Horford, let me say this, because you guys know I'm a big Al Horford guy.
Shuts out.
Love that man. And after either game 1 or game 3, I sent a text saying that Al Horford is the best player in the league. So obviously, since then, I have been very disappointed with his performance. He hasn't been terrible, but his performances in game 1 and game 3, when he plays well like that, the Celtics are just so much better because then other guys around him get going. Tatum gets going. Brown gets going. Derek White gets going. Marcus Smart gets going because they have this wild card in Al Horford that's giving them buckets, giving them the energy, blocking shots, and
spacing
he
the
just
floor.
brings it all together, spacing the floor. Exactly. So I don't know. I would never put Grant Williams in the game over Al Horford when you're losing in a game 5 in the 4th quarter. But Al has not been as good. And like Shub said, part of that is based on the fact that he's getting these mismatches. He has the advantage and he's not getting the ball. Like, he simply is not getting the ball. And I think that they need to look. He's not their X factor, obviously, but they need to look to get him involved tonight in game 6.
And I guess I'm just thinking about it. I don't want to blame it on Tatum and Brown and Smart because you guys made a good point. Like, let's not
It's a whole
put it
team
entirely
thing.
on them. It is a whole team thing. But
Wait. But you were the one who said those 3 committed the 13 turnovers of their 16.
Whoa,
that's where I'm getting. That's where I'm getting to.
I'm just saying, like,
that's where I'm getting to. I'm saying
that's on them.
a loss is a whole team thing.
Yeah.
You have to, as a team, take that and move on. But if your primary ball handlers or your stars or whatever are giving you no creation whatsoever, because every time they try to, all they're doing is just taking it inside and looking for a kick out, sorry. And every time they do that, they're not actually putting much thought or effort into that. So they get in the paint and now they're doubled or tripled even, and they're just chucking it out. They're not even able to make regular passes. I know you guys saw that just like wing to wing pass from Tatum to Brown that they couldn't get off, that got tipped. Like, it's simple, small things that they're struggling with, and it's turnovers.
Yep.
Primarily, it's just that. So yes, I'm standing hard on that. This is important, but not the reason that they lost. I'm not blaming the 3 players getting turnovers because it's not been them every single game, but the turnovers have been
I
for this
mean,
reason.
the turnovers in game 5 were terrible. And in a game where Steph Curry goes 0 for 9 from 3, you simply
win
have
that.
to win.
Yeah.
You simply have to win.
And 23% as a team. from
Yeah.
three.
Clay stepped up, Poole stepped up, Wiggins obviously really stepped up.
Wiggins
but
still went 0 for 6 from 3. I also
That's
wanna
true.
say that.
That's true.
Like,
But besides the
that's
threes,
unlike him too.
yeah, besides the threes, he got it done. So with the way the Warriors played in game 5 and the Celtics didn't win with these horrific turnovers and bad shots, I think it's a little defeating. And
And
to bring us into our predictions for tonight, I'm going to say the Warriors get it done and the finals, unfortunately, come to an end tonight. It's game 6. We all know what that means for Klay Thompson. So I think the Celtics are a little defeated after that game because Steph Curry has been unreal in games 1 through 4. And in game 5, he was not there and they still didn't win. So unless we get another dud like that tonight from Curry, which we all know is possible in the finals, I think it's GG's.
I mean, I would agree. It's boiling down to Tatum, Smart, Brown just having this tunnel vision. Like Doug said, like they want to shoulder the load. They feel they have to. And
they don't.
in the games they've won, that's not how it looked. It might have looked like they were taking the most shots, but they were making the open play. They were making the extra pass, and it just looked like their chemistry was at an all-time high. And now they've just strayed away from that. So I think going in tonight, I think it would be very smart of Udoka to play Robert and Horford more. I think that would just make sense. I mean, Robert Williams in game 5, he was 4 for 5 from the field, 10, 8, and 2, and he didn't get played that much. It doesn't make that much sense. And I think the Celtics are just in their head right now. They know they can beat them, but they don't, they're just not cohesive right now as a unit. And on the Warriors end, shouts out Clay. I mean, when everybody
Game
looked
6
ass
Clay.
last game, he kind of shouldered the weight. So I know he's been getting a lot of flack lately about how he's just kind of a shell of himself and hasn't had like a huge Clay pop-off game. So yeah, I mean Clay, he did what he could. So shouts out to that.
Shouts out fake Clay too.
And he's been a lot better.
Oh
not
my
shouts
God.
out fake Clay.
Pretty
Not
fake
shouts
Clay.
out fake Clay.
Shouts
Clay's
out
the
fake
real
Clay.
Clay has been a lot better on defense than I gave him credit.
Yeah.
for
So
being
going
able to
in
do.
tonight, Boston opens up as a 3.5 point favorite at home. Expect to see Portnoy courtside.
It's
I mean,
crazy how Doug literally has no idea what you're saying when
Also,
you shift to gambling.
We don't need, if we're not giving free promo to Stephen A. Smith, we're not giving it to as
we're not
Dave
giving any-
Portnoy. Get
we're
the
not giving
out of
any
here, bro.
promos
Stop
here.
talking about Dave Portnoy. Stop.
Oh my.
He just
Get
wants
out
to
of
suck
here.
his dick, though. Just let him want
No,
it.
I'm not.
Yeah, and
I'm
I
just
don't.
stating
It's
facts.
I don't need my friends getting unconsensual.
I told
Pause.
you, I gave you an explanation on that, and you chose to ignore it. But
No, I chose to read into it more, and I continue to feel the same way.
okay, well, you didn't respond
Well-
to me, so I took that as you chose to ignore me.
Anyways,
I read it.
anyways, the Garden will be popping. We know this. It's win or go home. And I think tonight, like we've been saying in the past like 3 or 4 weeks, it's going to come down to experience. I know for a fact, whoever's reffing, it doesn't matter.
Zach Zarba.
Oh God.
Yeah. We're
Oh,
going to have a
geez.
We can
close
we can
game.
keep
We're
going
gonna
without
have a
talking about
close game.
refing.
Yep.
We can keep going without it.
The fourth quarter, we know it's going to be close. So it's who's going to step up, who's going to make the clutch shots, and who's going to nut up. I mean, this is the time. And if you want a ring, you got to win. And then
That's
you got to go
facts.
back and win in San Fran, which is even tougher. So, and you got to deal with a game 6 Clay tonight. I mean, there's just so many
A
factors.
lot to
and
overcome for the lads
Yeah.
in green.
The Green Boys are they're in a tough spot right now. And that's why I'm going to take them tonight. That is my prediction. Everybody up. Everybody.
From the
Ride.
top ropes.
We ride the green. Yeah.
Real quick about game 5, something we didn't talk about. Obviously, it was very minor, but a couple Jordan Poole threes to end the third quarter, put the Warriors up double digits. No,
Buzzer beater.
the buzzer
Or
beater.
the two.
Oh,
The
Was it
two.
two?
He made
had,
2
yeah, it
threes
was
at
two.
the end of the
He
third
had 2
quarter,
threes in the last
including
like,
the
2
buzzer
minutes.
beater.
Mhm.
He
of
hit
the
a
third
3
quarter.
and then he airballed for 2 for 1, but then he made up for it with the buzzer beater.
He got the
And
2 for
that
1.
it looked so defeating for the Celtics.
worked.
He
Even though
the
they
2
were
for 1.
talking trash about the 2
Yep.
for 1 on the broadcast.
Yep. And that 3, that buzzer beater 3 just looked so defeating for the fucking Celtics, man.
It
Yeah,
also-
Tatum
Yeah.
Brown played the whole quarter and knew they had to play another whole quarter ahead of him.
And we
And
were
that
talking
did
about
not
this during the game. And it was when the Warriors were starting to go down in the third quarter. And I said before it happened, Steve Kerr needs to flip the coin. He needs
Give
to
him
put
India's
Jordan
flowers,
Poole in the
guys.
game.
Give him
He
India's
needs to take the
flowers.
gamble. And it worked.
the
And
pool party.
I'm not
Have
going to
to-
say that's what won them the game, but it was a huge momentum
Huge
swing.
momentum swing. I want to go back and look at that Houston buzzer beater back in the tournament. I'm
Wichita,
curious.
Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
In
Yeah,
Wichita,
yeah.
Kansas.
Because I'm curious because he on this, on the other night, he was at the baseline, at the Celtics baseline or Warriors baseline, whatever, for that play. At
Are
the
you
start
talking
of
about
that
the
play.
inbound?
Muhammad
Mhm.
Ali Abdul
Okay.
Rahman launched
And
it
he
to
had
him.
4 seconds to get
Yeah.
up the court.
Shots
I'm
out.
just very
Shouts
curious
out.
what the sim because it was the opposite wing. It looked like the same shot, just the opposite wing.
Oh,
he
no,
bank-
that one was way deeper. The buzzer beater one.
College dude.
No, not college.
No,
The,
not college.
You're
the other
right.
night was way deeper.
No, but I'm
Because
saying, oh yeah.
They were. It was probably like proportionally about the same behind the line,
But
but when you
because
change the
it's-
3-point line from college to the NBA,
It was way deeper.
way
Yeah,
deeper.
it was a much
But
better shot. but
I
still.
do want to say this real fast. They had to review the shot because it was so close. And you could see all the Celtics looking up at the monitor and seeing that he got it off with like 0.1 or whatever. And it just looked like they were all like the air was taken out of their lungs.
Yep.
And they were like, all right, here we go. Let's get some water and just get back out there. And that is not the mindset you want to
Mhm.
have. And
Then
just
they
such a
went
young
1 for
group.
9.
Yeah, I mean, they're a
They
young
could not
group.
score in the fourth quarter. That was really their dagger. Their dagger
Yeah.
happened with 0
No
seconds on the
creation.
clock in the third
No
quarter.
creation.
That's where they need the veteran Al Horford, like to just start the offense. I'm not saying load, like put everything on his shoulders, but just get a couple layups, like get him going.
Especially when
Horford
you're
bringing the
being
ball up
guarded
the
by
court.
Gary Payton.
I mean, it doesn't make that much sense. It
Gary Payton's a
sounds
good
like-
defender.
Yeah, it sounds like
Not a
us
post
four would
defender,
have
though.
great
No.
game plan, but
Too
They
bad.
don't wanna
It's like in
coaching
2K
the
how
Celtics.
Gary Payton. It's like in 2K how Gary Payton is a shooting guard / center. So whenever he comes off the bench, you
No
always
way.
got to use
Is
that.
he really?
Yeah. So when he comes, a lot of times when you play
come in
him,
at center.
against his
I
team
hate when
in
2K
my
does
career
that.
or whatever, he'll be the backup center.
I
So
hate
that's
when
just
2K does
buckets.
that. It's so
Straight
annoying in
buckets.
play now. It's so annoying. But I think it's time for me to give my prediction.
Yeah.
Heading into tonight, I haven't done that yet. I
Neither
think
have I.
for Boston, you got to go back to what worked in your best game of the series in game 1. Game 1 was undoubtedly their best game of the series. I think everyone can agree on that. They came out swinging, and they got to do that again. I think when you look at the lineups that day, Robert Williams, he came out yesterday saying the Celtics said if you play, your knee is going to be fucked up. And Isaiah Thomas retweeted that and said, they told me the same thing and said, you're still playing. And Robert Williams is injured. He's been getting healthier. He looks like he's getting healthier. But in game 1, he had 8 points and 6 rebounds in 24 minutes with a steal and 4 blocks. He didn't miss a shot. He had 8.6 rebounds, 4 blocks, and a steal. You'd think he'd be getting more minutes than that. But honestly, I think that 24 minutes is plenty. I think he's going to give you the same amount of production no matter how many minutes he plays, just based on how his health is and based on the kind of player he is. I think that's what you have to do with him. With Al, he put up 12 shots that game. I think you got to at least look for Al early in the game. He had a big first quarter, if I remember. Get Al at least 8 shots because he's barely putting up 5. Derek White, I was going to say he's been their most consistent player before last game,
shooting 30-something% from the field
and
throughout the series.
I was going to say, like, you got to give him his flowers, but then Udoka went away from him.
28.
He played 31 minutes in game 1 and had 21 points. You got to go back.
34.
You got to try and go with those lineups. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart all probably are going to get about 40 minutes because in that game 1, Pritchard played 15 minutes and had 8 points, 6 boards, 2 assists. Pritchard hasn't put that up combined in the rest of the series, but he was a plus 14. Now, I'm not saying Pritchard's the answer because I think he's not going to shift back to game 1, but he played 15 minutes. Those minutes will go to Tatum, Brown, and Smart. And you got to run with Derek White and Grant Williams off the bench. Daniel Tice played 5 minutes off the bench. If you want to spell Daniel Tice in for a couple minutes when Kevon Looney's in to give Al a break or Robert Williams a break, I'm not against
the worst thing.
I'm not against it. And when Kevon Looney specifically is in the game.
Right.
But yeah, you just got to go back to what worked. Game 1 was their best shot. They didn't control that game for the entire time, but they had a really good game, well-rounded. Like Tatum only shot 3 of 17, but I think that's not consistent. Like that's not going to happen again. I mean, you'd think. And then if you're the Warriors and you want to win, keep feeding Wiggins the ball. It's simple as that. Don't let Curry. Like obviously, if Curry puts up 50, you're going to win. I mean, knock on wood, like for the Warriors. But like when Curry is performing like he is, and it takes the pressure, like they want to double team him, and Wiggins is playing as well as he does. Don't just like go away from him just because it's like, oh, he's never done it 3 games in a row. Let him try. Let him prove himself. Like let Wiggins prove himself, why he belongs, why he's the number 1 overall pick. Maple Jordan. Like I think Wiggins is the key to success. I think Clay, I agree with Duve. Like Clay kept them in last game. Like if it wasn't for Clay, they're not winning last game. And game 6 Clay is for real, but I think Wiggins and Curry are the new dynamic duo for this finals.
For this finals,
new Splash Bros.
Rest my statement.
Yeah, I
I
thought
did
you
not
were
say Splash
going to
Bros.
say
I said
that.
dynamic duo.
Yeah, I like that.
Prediction.
Real quick.
Prediction.
Yeah, I gotta do my prediction.
But I never said mine. I got the Celtics.
Oh, I
Game
thought you
7
did.
coming. I never said it. I think they pull it out. Everybody up.
I have the Celtics too, but I just want a game 7. That's
Everybody
really it.
against me.
I know I actually kind of want the Warriors to win tonight. But I want a game 7.
Yeah.
I want more basketball.
Of course.
So
We all want
I'm just
it.
rooting for a game 7, so I'm rooting for them.
yeah,
It's good for the
I
content.
don't give a shit about either of these teams,
Yeah,
except for I do
exactly.
hate the city of Boston. So
Me too.
yeah, we're not Boston fans necessarily, but
I
we're
hate the
not
Red
Boston.
Sox.
I'm not
Ever
a
since
Boston
they
fan.
traded
I'm
Isaiah
We're not
Thomas.
we're not
Boston
Celtics
fan.
haters. We're Boston haters.
Yeah.
Get that right.
I'm a Celtics hater ever since they traded Isaiah Thomas.
Well, yeah, you have a reason because you
The disrespect by Danny Ainge, but he's gone now. So
Danny. Yeah, Danny Ainge is not the best moral character to use as a standard. I don't know if you guys saw there was an employee who just came out and backed up. Kind of what's the word? Brought further evidence to back up all this Robert Sarver Sons issues
I have not seen
in the
any
front
new issues on
office.
the front stuff.
She came out. She was a
Oh, I
senior
saw this.
premium
Yes.
executive experience, something like that, where basically it's like high level, people who get the suites and stuff. She deals with those customers and helps them out when they're at games and stuff like that. Whatever. She came out and resigned, I think a week ago, something like that. But she wrote a letter to Robert Sarver and other members of the board and just like executives for the Suns, basically calling out, whether it was individuals or certain processes within the organization, she wrote the letter went to the HR department as well to complain to them. Like there was a lot of stuff that came out of this that just further backs up this stuff and also kind of extends into other aspects of the Suns organization outside of just Robert Sarver. So this is going to be a very interesting offseason for the Suns. And I'm saying that I don't think we're a podcast where someone is going to come and listen to, talk about those topics. We're only going to take that and talk about the basketball side of it because that's what we're here for.
On the basketball side, the Suns are about to fall off tremendously.
Yeah. They're losing DeAndre Ayton. That's going to happen. Legs. That is going to happen. Chris Paul, like you just said, on his last legs. And now you have Devin Booker, a guy who's struggled to do anything in Phoenix by himself forever.
I'll also say this with
that'd be a tough time.
All this public news coming out about their front office, you have to think the players are reading this, and many free agents are not going to be rubbed the right way after they read that. And
what's the vibe around Arizona, Jack?
Yeah, tell us about this.
What's the vibe around Arizona?
Let's go to
Is
the
everyone
street,
buzzing
Jack.
about the Suns?
I should go out there and start asking some people on the street what they think.
Ended on the street.
What's the deal? But yeah, obviously I wanted to have the Suns in the finals so I could go to game 5 and 7 when I got down here. If it got that far, but
only the Yotes were in the cup.
Not the case. If only the Yotes were in the cup.
They would have played outside or something.
We're gonna send Mindy to Devin Booker's house and get a personal interview.
I'm knocking on the front door.
Set him to have him stream snipe DeAndre Ayton.
All right, Dove. I don't think you ever so everyone gave a prediction actually.
I said
okay. So
I don't really
Celtics
care
and a Warriors.
and that I took
the
Boston
Warriors.
and I don't really like the Warriors, but I want more basketball. So let's get a game 7.
Yeah. All right. Any last messages to the teams playing? Any last basketball thoughts?
One more news thing. Bogdan Bogdanovic of the Hawks undergoes surgery on his knee. So
Not good.
the people who were looking for Detroit to trade for him, it's no longer in the
Also shots at Sue Bird. She's retiring. Great Jew, Sue Bird. Legend of the WNBA.
Legend. My last thoughts are, yes, I took the Warriors, but if Al Horford, Derek White, and Grant Williams combine for
10 points,
40,
25,
40, they win.
That's
Wait,
no
say
doubt
the players
about it.
again. Say the players again.
Al Horford, Derek White, Grant Williams. I'll bring it down to 30.
Yeah, 30.
Yeah, I was gonna say because the Warriors
fair.
the Warriors the other night had 30 bench points.
I'm bringing
Which
it
is
down
nice.
to 30. They're not going to match game 1 with their however many points combined they had. It was upwards of 50. But if them, especially Derek White, when Derek White plays well, when Derek White scores, the Celtics are a different team. But
Because
I got the Warriors.
score when he does.
and we're
Peyton
hammering
Pritchard
Klay
plays more than a
Thompson.
minute. We're firing you, man.
Yep.
I love
That's all
Preach,
I've got.
but come on.
I agree with all of that.
All right. Another great episode. Remember to rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts 5 stars. We deserve it.
Download the episodes as well.
Download. Follow us on Twitter, Hustle and Hoops, YouTube, Hustle and Hoops. Like the video if you're on YouTube. Shouts out to Jacuzzi Coochie.
Shouts out.
And we'll see y'all next time. Hopefully when a champion is crowned. Peace.